go to her. No.
Obedience has been like, I would say 8 to 10, and behavior has been 10 to 11.
No, it's got 8 to 10, 10 to 11. I was expecting like 15, 20.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, because it seems like...
It corrects him.
Yeah, no, that's what I care about.
Right.
Yeah.
I jump a little bit more.
Yeah.
Okay. And what difference have we seen with that adjustment?
Well, I noticed that, I'm kind of what you were saying, that we shouldn't really be doing a whole lot of obedience at this point, so I feel like I correct him for obedience like usually once or twice at the beginning of the walk, and then everything else is behavioral stuff after that.
Okay.
Whereas I feel like before this, we were periodically working through obedience stuff throughout the walk.
Sure.
I've gotten closer with other dogs, but now I feel like what I'm dealing with is that when we're walking and there's either a dog right in front of us or a dog in his vicinity, he wants to just like turn away from the situation entirely.
Oh, sure.
So he'll sort of position his body as we're walking where his head is crossing over you and he's trying to like turn, so then you're kind of like sidestepping to try and push him, but I don't know if there's something different to be doing.
So like let's say you're walking past the dog here, right? He's on your right.
Uh-huh.
And the dog's coming this way. He would be coming over like this.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, he doesn't go towards the dog though.
No, he's not. Yeah, he's going opposite. If the dog's coming this way.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Or if we're following behind another dog, he would try to do that the whole time. Like he doesn't want to follow behind another dog on the walk. So.
What's the distance approximately?
I would say like at that light pole, and we're here.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Walking behind them, he's like, I haven't had it as much as you, but if I have that distance about there's like, panting and huffing and puffing, and sometimes I'll correct. Other times it's hard for me to see if he's puckering. Like the behavior doesn't bother me. He's just kind of like. He's trying to work out those feelings, so I'm kind of okay with that, especially because he's staying with me. He's not doing anything weird, so that's been okay with me, but I do notice it for sure.
Okay, so sure, like this here, right? This you can't correct, because that's him venting distress.
Yeah.
He has to have an outlet.
Right. Yeah.
And previously it was, we had fight, flight, avoidance, submission as the 4 responses. So he was going to fight from that fight mode. We don't want fight mode. Right, so then we're left with flight, avoidance, or submission. We don't want flight either, so then it's avoidance, submission. So that crossing over is in the lines of avoidance behavior.
Yeah, for sure.
If you have to walk, I would just keep it's part of the process. I wouldn't worry so much about you can't remote him because remote means here, right? So then you would end up countering him, which would be confusing. I would either just do what you've been doing is just keep moving forward and bumping him off, or actually stepping aside. And letting him, and what you might see is he might completely turn around and let it pass, and then you go. Okay, that'd be the easiest. Eventually, what we should see is the dog passes, he doesn't overcompensate so much.
Right.
And then you might see as the dog passes, you'll go like this, and then kind of just ignore the dog's movement, and then when it's over here, he'll look this way. And then the next step would be, okay, if I don't do anything, nothing happens, they don't do anything, so I don't worry about that. Oh, okay. No big deal. Okay.
Yeah, and same thing if we're walking in the same direction behind another dog. Like.
Yeah, that's weird. Just because there's no threat because you got the dog's back, and that's a pretty big gap from here to that pole. So that's out of the ordinary. I would just keep moving forward. It's weird. Like if the dog was coming this way, I'd definitely understand that. He's trying to alleviate the frontal pressure. If anything, I'd probably go closer and trail him to get him like desensitized to like we're walking behind a dog. It's not a big deal, And you might, I don't know if we saw this with him, but when we had your friend's dog, Joy, when she was behind in the beginning, dogs a lot of times are like this because they feel vulnerable from behind. So then we'll remote them and keep them this way until eventually we can bring the dog to here, So there's some stuff. I would say if it's going to be in passing, being stepped aside and letting it happen and seeing what he does and letting him work through it. And then when you're trailing behind someone, I would keep that going because there's no real threat there.
Right.
It's a dog's back, okay? But you can also just get him used to walking in the presence of another dog and hopefully just letting that go and getting more relaxed. Okay? Questions about that? Good. Recall. Did you get any opportunity to practice?
We did one day.
Yeah, we did a good handful of them one day. It was nice. I felt like it worked pretty well. He remembered. We would let him kind of. We didn't do the double leash thing where we separated, but
Sure.
we did have. There was a sniff around, basically, and he would kind of go off, and then we would say, "Finn, come," pull. I couldn't remember the order quite, but like he knew the command. He remembered it.
Okay.
He would run over to me, away from her, and sit next to me. Crazy.
Okay, good.
It worked pretty well.
Good.
I mean, we didn't practice it as much as we wanted to, but
So recall is the one command that typically takes people the longest because it requires you to go somewhere, have a long leash, and then practice, right? So that's not out of the ordinary. What I recommend is, like, let's say you go on a walk and maybe you pass through an area like this, is I have it with me and I'll walk there, stop, switch leashes, give them like a 5-minute break, let them just biz, do one little recall, flip them up, walk back home again, right? The more you practice, the better you get, and then, but yeah, that's pretty much with everybody. Okay. Questions? Anything in particular you want to work on?
I mean, I was curious what we were going to do today. I'd be fine with doing what you ever had planned. I want to be able to jog with him, like medium speed.
Sure.
Right now, I can do like a really light trot, whereas he doesn't break into a trot. He's just moving fast. I kind of want to get to the point where I can run a little faster, and he's also kind of trotting. When I do that now, he like kind of goes full bore. It's either like fast legs or it's like I'm running. And I've been able to like kind of have him on a heel, and like if he goes over, I can remote. He like comes back, so it's been like working. But I don't know if that's like the proper technique or what to do.
Right. So it's similar to what we did with the walking, except now we're changing speeds. So I actually did that with him yesterday. So this is Bailey. He's a daycare and train, and I did that very thing where I started running with him, and he went into like, oh, we're running. Right. So then I had just right away 180 and remote to correct them. So we could do a little bit of that, and then today was just going to be the second half of the heel because there's another part of that heel of recall.
Yeah.
But we can touch on that real quick, okay? So go ahead and just show me how you've been approaching it.
Okay.
In your Birkenstocks.
Well,
Yeah, and your running shoes here.
Heel.
Yep. Good. What's the number now?
10.
Let's go down to 8.
Sorry, bud. 10. Heel.
All
My
right.
glasses too. Heel.
Good, then slow. Turn. Good.
That's pretty good. Like if I can get that.
Yeah, he's probably more focused now because of that 10.
Yeah.
Right? So, what I would do, that looked good. That's how it's supposed to look.
I agree.
It's the same as the heel. You start your run, right? And when he shoots off or overshoots, just let the slack go, turn, tap, tap, and then you go in the opposite way. Okay?
That's I didn't know that part, so that makes sense.
Yeah, it stays the same.
Okay.
And typically what I would recommend for people is you walk a block, jog a block, walk a block, jog a block, okay? Until you build a stamina. One thing about the heel in the run is that some dogs, once they learn it, will lag, okay? And you can remote them and they'll yip and they'll run up and then immediately lag again, okay? But they'll stay there and they'll keep your pace, but they're just lagging. So my theory is that they know you're running, they find a pace that's a little bit slower, but that's going to keep them up with you that they can do for a longer period. Okay. Because I've had several people, same thing, Jesse, I can be on 100, the dog will come to my side and lag immediately. I'm like, it sounds like they're probably, but they'll keep with them. They're not lagging so much that they're dragging behind, but a couple of feet of distance. And I was like, that's perfectly fine because of the speed. They're most likely just doing that because they know they can keep that up for a longer period of time. Okay?
That makes sense, yeah.
So if he starts off strong and starts to do that, don't worry about it. Part of the process. I would just keep an eye on if you're passing or running by, you know, a dog or something, because since he's in a higher speed, potentially could go into reactivity,
Yeah, for sure.
or he could be so focused on the run that you actually don't see anything. Okay, so it can work either way.
Okay.
Otherwise, that looked pretty good.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's pretty good. I think I just been maybe struggling because like the times I want to do it is on the beach, and that's like his playtime anyway.
Sure.
So it's tougher because he's like used to kind of just like sniffing around, going to the water. So I'll work on it. I think it's good.
Yeah, and that's a good point to bring up. If anything, I would practice slow heel first, and because they're teaching them like it's not just sniff and play at the beach.
Yeah.
There might be some structure.
Yeah.
Introduce that, and then move into the jogging, walking,
Okay.
jogging, walking.
Okay.
Okay, awesome. Anything else? Very good. So let's go ahead and grab our purple leash here, and we'll step off to the side. And I'm going to have you just show me how you practice with Finn, and then what you remember. And we can move. We'll go in this little grass area. We can bring. Maybe. He looks more relaxed this week.
Yeah.
Like when you guys had come previously, he's always kind of come in that alert state.
Right.
Yeah.
Today, you walk right up. I didn't see the alert state. It's more like how do you say? Not completely passive, but he's definitely there's a change in energy. That's good.
Yeah, it's less. It's more chill.
Should I give me the remote? It's not comfortable.
Do you want to take off your okay.
We totally forgot to get treatment today.
Oh, really?
We've done our 6 weeks and we're like, oh yeah, we have that phone call.
Oh, really?
And luckily I checked my email and saw an email from Maria asking if we wanted to do more after this one. I was like, shoot, get treated.
That's right. Tomorrow. I had a client yesterday, and they were saying that they had a really late night, that they almost missed their class. But they're moving in like a week or so they couldn't afford to miss it.
Yeah.
Like, yeah,
They probably just had a cheeseburger after.
Whenever you're ready.
Finn, come.
Like a little greyhound off to the races.
Yeah.
Atta boy. Good job, Finn.
Yeah, just once a week.
Yeah. Keep with that. Okay.
Should I still be doing pressure too?
Did you do anything here?
No.
Okay. So it might be, what's your number right now?
Yeah, 6.
Lightly pull up. Good. So I think what's happening is up. Yeah, there you go. Is we had this happen with another dog. Is the setup is he knows the setup, right?
Right.
Oh, so he was expecting an 8, right? So then we just go down lower, and what I'll do is here you just settle him, put a little bit of space between things, so that we don't get such paranoia.
Okay.
And then also just dipping down on that number, okay? Because now he's really on edge, and we're just trying to get him to relax. You don't have to do the pressure
Okay.
with the leash, only if he's, like let's say he goes off the wrong way to direct him, you would then need it to counter him.
Okay.
So right now it would just be the Finn come, followed by the remote, one tap at least, leash only if needed.
Okay.
Okay?
Finn, come.
Good. Yeah, boy. Good, we'll do one more, then we'll swap. Wait.
So when you give them
Yeah.
the leash pressure, any kind of leash pressure he's expecting. So.
Yeah.
Finn, come.
Good speed. Let's try, you're at 6.
5.
Let's try 4. Yeah. Good.
Sit back.
Right, pull up. Okay. Relax. Good. Wait a moment, let it settle. Up. Right, let it settle. Good. And so, up, yep. Relax. Good. So here, typically I put in remotes for the settle. We're not doing that here because he's so sensitive to it.
Yeah.
That even when you pull up, he's still like
He's basically,
associating.
in his brain, you're getting the same response with any kind of light lead pressure.
Correct.
And that's what we do on walks. Like, all I have to do is gently pull up. He sits, and not that he usually does it because of heel, but
Right.
if I want him to be sitting for any reason, I just
Lightly pull
I don't
up.
even have to remote him anymore because it's so like linked.
Correct. So here we don't want to add more pressure
Yeah.
because you can already see he's stressed about the one. But I let go of the other, and then see how he settled here. So it took me like 3 to 4 times, but now he's sat down and he's held it for a bit. Okay. Go ahead.
I changed the name.
See, that's
Good.
come.
There you come.
See, that was kind of like I didn't mean to not say it, but like I kind of knew that he would just.
He was come, yeah.
Yeah.
So, and like when I train puppies, I train the name as a default recall because typically that's how people use the word. So it should be like that. It should be the moment you're saying something, he's already like, what do you need me to do?
Okay. That's good. It's sad. We keep forgetting to say break too. After
I know. Yeah, we were doing break when we were practicing,
Yeah.
but not today.
Good, and lightly pull up, settle him down. Good, relax, good.
And come. And come.
There you go, good. And a boy. Excellent. Last one. Right.
Then come.
Excellent. Very good. Go ahead and put him in a long leash heel towards this way.
You want it in my left hand or no?
Yeah. So there's a big one. There you go. Good. Good, very good. So, good speed, good response. So if we call Finn, comes to us, and we move away from Finn, what should he do?
We should continue to follow us, right?
Correct, yeah. So we're gonna add in an extra layer to this. We'll probably even go down as low as 3. So we're gonna create a little bit more paranoia about leaving you, right? Chances are with the way Finn's personality is, there we go, he's already gonna have the inclination, right? But it's just like an extra layer of security of if you call him up for something, there's not gonna be a, how would you say, a chance of him going back, right? So, like with dogs that have prey drive and love to like chasing squirrels, I use that to my advantage. I'm like, yeah, go have at it. Like, I don't care. But when I call you, get over here and stick with me, it's like give you permission, right? So this extra layer is to kind of really cement that fact that if I call you, you're at my side, okay? So what we're gonna do here is everything stays the same. You're gonna go and get that recall. He comes to you, pause, let Finn settle. And then what we're gonna do is what I call my side step exercise, okay? So if Finn lands to your right, you can go directly to your left like this, or directly backwards like this, okay? We wanna do any direction, but forward like, okay? So whether going like this, or even turning and going like this.
Okay.
Okay, so if you're going left, you wanna go very awkwardly like this. Do you know why we don't wanna do the forward light motion?
Trigger a heel.
It looks like heel, right? And what I'm trying to test here is Finn sticking to me because he knows the implied stay with the body, or is he assuming heel? Okay, so we do directions or movements that the dog does not know how to heel with that are very awkward. So like moving backwards, he would turn in, which is fine, and then follow you, okay? If he delays and I'm always throwing sticks in videos apparently.
Is there a montage?
Yeah, that's what he was talking about. It was literally yesterday. I'm gonna make a collection of Jesse throwing stick videos. We're gonna see if he glues to us. If there's a delay, okay. So if I move to the side and Finn sticks over there, and I tap, 3 seconds later, we're creating that 3-second delay. So ideally, when you move, he should already be following you, okay. If he doesn't, you give that tap, and what we want to see, of course, that he closes in.
Okay.
The other part of this is I'm trying to force the context of Finn getting confused and running off. Okay, so if I step aside and I remote him, he may not think to come to you, he might think to run off. In which case, if that happens, I keep him under pressure, move back like the recall. I don't say come again, I just go continue back until he returns to me, let him settle, and then try again, okay? Same thing for like when you call him, the purpose of still tapping him now after the recall is to force confusion. To see if I call you and I tap too late, are you still gonna come to me? Or are you gonna get confused and run off? In which case I work him through it and make him return. Okay, so we want him to understand always, always come back. Questions? All right, who's gonna go first? All right.
Finn, come.
Good. Good. Go ahead and take up a little bit more slack here. That's good. And you're going to take 2 steps to your immediate left. Up, tap, tap, yep. So go ahead and let the blue one go. So you see how Finn is like, he did those 2 darts, right? I would let that happen so that I can correct it.
Okay.
Right? Because what he's trying to do is come back to you. Because he's thinking you're just
Right,
going to go back and forth, right? And what we want to teach him is don't assume that it's going to happen. And if you do, you have to stick to me, otherwise consequence kicks in. Okay? So go ahead and try 2 steps to your left. And hold. Good.
Good boy.
2 steps backwards. That's fine. And then 1 step to your left. Tap. Good. And that tap was just tap, tap, tap. There you go. And wait. Tap. Right? Good. So that's what I'm wanting to see. I actually want to see the dog run off.
Yeah.
Because we're going to fix that so we're not worried about it should he be off the leash ever. Okay? And break. Good. And we'll repeat that a few more times and we'll swap. Yeah, Sam canceled.
Didn't even do it. So I should tap to get him back if he preemptively doesn't.
Well, there's no command here, right? So he's technically free to do that. So we just use the counter pressure to settle him. But once you've called him, now he's under that command.
Finn, come. Finn, come.
There you go. Good. That's good. Good. Right backwards. Left. Yeah, you can already see him thinking about it. Good. Let him settle. Yep. Good. Right. Right. Good. And actually, what we're gonna do here is we're gonna go into release now.
Sorry?
Go into break.
Break.
Good. Because he self-corrected there, so I want to like end that particular exercise on that note as opposed to pushing it more.
Yeah, I saw him correct.
Yeah.
Finn, come. Come.
You okay?
Yeah. Come.
Right. Good. Very good. Excellent. We'll do 2 more, then we'll swap.
So you think he's extra amped up with the dog behind him?
No, I think it was he's getting he's getting frustrated from the reps. You know, because it's very, I would say, redundant.
Yeah.
Or just that one?
Oh, is it that white dog you're talking about? Or that dog? Oh, okay. I don't like that dog either.
Finn, come.
Good. Good. Excellent. Good. We'll do 1 more, then we'll swap. He's like, I know what's gonna happen.
Like to do everything I can to prevent anything from
Finn, come.
Good. Good. Good.
Care if he's sitting or not?
He read your mind. Yeah, I usually will tap for the sit, the auto sit.
Yeah.
It's just like a little anger. But all those were really good. Give a tap here. Tap, 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 and back, tap. There you go. Good, and then now your side step. Good. Tap. There you go, good. Let them settle, good. One more. Excellent. That's fine, and break. Good, 4 more.
I still went from like a 3 to 11, which is why you cried.
Oh, that
Sorry.
I was wondering.
Good. 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 Okay, good. Excellent.
That was a break.
Good. Excellent. Good. We'll do 2 more.
Go that way.
It's like, I don't know if like these reps are helping, do you think? Because like he's so anticipating it, or is that what you want?
Yeah, I mean, so realistically speaking, when you practice this, you wouldn't drill it like this, right?
Right.
That this stuff goes away. So it's not uncommon to see it. We'll get the last 2 in, and then we'll move to something else. Good. Last one. There you go.
Nice.
Good. Good. The loop, yeah. Right, yep.
Walk back.
And back. There he goes. Good. And hold. There he is. Good. And go ahead and just go into a heel. What'd you turn up to on that one?
7.
Atta boy. Good job. All right. So, yeah. When I train dogs myself, once I've taught like the basic concept, it's really just application to build it to where I need it to. Because then you see stuff like this, where the dog's just like paranoid because he sees the setup every single time, right? So realistically speaking, I just do this to show you guys.
Okay.
But then it's just when you practice,
Yeah.
you're trying to make it not like that, right?
Yeah.
If it's all you have, then it is what it is. And it's really just because he's like a nervous, anxious type.
Yeah.
You know, I have another dog that's currently training right now, Leo, same personality type, and they're having the same issue. Every time they would walk away, he'd start doing the jumping and stuff. And I told him, for the sake of training, it's okay for now, but when you do this realistically, it's gonna go away. And plus, now you drill things out more because you're training everything, right? So it's like kind of like boot camp. And then once everything's kind of, you got the control that you need, it's really just using it as you need it. So then you get out of that boot camp kind of mindset, and the dog relaxes.
Yeah.
Client this morning, he's on his 4th class, and dog's super friendly and everything. But he did so much like discipline and obey stuff, as he put it, that the dog now doesn't want to do anything. And I told him, you know, I get it, because I think he was confused about the training. I go, the purpose of this is so that you can have more freedom with your dog. And if the dog runs off, like you call him, I'm not worried about the feeding back. So let him go back to playing, let him go back to the dog park, go to new places and let him be free, and like balance things out.
Right.
And we brought like Bailey with us, and that helped loosen him up quite a bit, and it made a big difference. So the purpose for all this stuff, of course, is so that you can do more with Finn, right? Because before, it's like, for me, if I had him and I trained him, and let's say he's still being a brat with me reactivity wise, I go, all right, whatever. But I can still have fun and play with him here and not worry about what happens if he tries to run off. I can always get him back, right? Questions so far about any of that stuff? So you saw a couple of them, of him just running off.
Right.
Again, stuff that I want to see. Things that people don't typically think about that do happen, that we want to work through. Okay. Only one was really when you moved off and him getting confused. The other ones were just him, I think, prematurely leaving the person. And when I work with couples, it's really, how would you say, convenient, because you're not just teaching Finn to come to you, you're teaching Finn to come to a particular voice, right? Because he doesn't differentiate. One of the most common things with recall and e-collar, which is like a con, is like, let's say Finn was like where that pole is, that light pole, and Bree was where she was. You called them. A lot of times the dog goes to the person in the middle, because he's thinking the faster I get to somebody, the faster I don't have to worry about the remote anymore. So then I have to, if that were to ever happen, I don't try to remote him off of the person. I do another recall. Okay, because to me, in my opinion, what I've seen in the past is if you try to remote him, he'll literally climb up the person. Like, he'll start jumping on him. Like, how close am I supposed to be?
I see.
So if I do another recall, I'm resetting it, because to him, he's thinking, well, I went to somebody.
Yeah.
So I did my job, right? Hence why if I keep the pressure on, he just tries to go closer. Now, when I work with couples, you're already kind of working on the concept of, when I call you, you're going to a particular voice, and you're leaving a person to come to me as well. Does that make sense?
Right.
Yeah. So it's something I see all the time. So in terms of practicing this, I think we talked about trying to recreate realistic scenarios when you're like on your own and stuff, right? When you practice with them this week, did you do it like we did it last week, with just between the two of you? Yep.
Yeah, well, we did, the one time it got messed up, but he was like sniffing around in some tall reeds.
Sure.
And we called him back, but the leash got stuck in the
that was
reeds.
Oh, sure.
So, but he did still, you called him, but he ran to me because I was closer.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
And then I think we were like, well, this doesn't seem fair. The leash is like stuck on something anyways, he can't
Sure.
even. But, so is that a situation where if he came to me, that Gus would give him
Correct.
the command again?
Correct.
Okay.
Right. It's a little thing, right? but we're thinking about like, what if you ran to somebody else?
Right.
Right. So then, like, let's say in that context, you work them through it. Maybe he had some difficulty with it, or at least you're getting it done between the two of you, as opposed to like you call him and he goes to somebody else, and then you're sitting there trying to remote your dog, trying to get him to come to you. That he's already got a foundation of it. That's easier for him in that moment to leave and come to the person I called them. Yeah. The dog should always return to who gave the command. So like, one thing you can do is work interchangeably. So like, let's say you're holding on to Finn. Gus calls Finn. Finn comes to him. He puts him in a heel, walks around, stops, gives him a stay, walks around, comes back, goes back into a heel, and then stops, right? And then you maybe walk over and say heel and walk off. Finn should then transition to you, right? And like, let's say you remote him because Gus just worked with them. He might go to Gus, thinking, "Oh, I just worked with you," but you just gave the command. So then you're moving, and then he figures out, "Oh, that was Mom's voice," right? So you can make your obedience like more like clear or more complex by simply shifting between the two of you, right? It's nothing hard, but it helps them really differentiate between your voice, and who he's supposed to pay attention to. Okay, does that make sense?
Yeah.
Questions? Looks like he's falling asleep. Am I boring you, Finn?
It's a good thing. If you heard of a dog bark in our neighborhood,
Yeah, you're
he
right.
would get
Yeah, like
he'd be
he just
unhappy
didn't
about
care
it.
about that. That's great.
Oh, the bark right now?
Yeah, barking's hard for him. Sure.
Think here. Aside from this, right? Do you know how you would like progress, like how making this more so applicable to real life scenario?
Yeah. No, I mean, I think so. I think in our neighborhood there's like a real thick, busy area where dogs can come from any direction. And I think we would take both leashes, bring them out to an area where it's more wide open, switch to the purple leash, and then I think we would have no problem doing it. Is that what you're asking about, like the training part, or do you mean?
Right. Like, is there like any way for you to? So I like that you went and you said there was like reeds and something. So he was off doing his own thing, right? Like more of that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Well, you know what we can do? We can do it in the prairie, because it's like that stuff's still kind of low, or some area where he likes to sniff around on his own, but then we would. And is that something that's we should do? Is like, hey, sniff around, and then like eventually I just decide, hey, come. Like,
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
We could do that. Yeah. There's plenty of spaces on our. It's like a park by the lake, and there's plenty of areas to figure it out.
Yeah. I don't care what the dog does, right? And you can have your own rules that are different from mine. I don't care if he's sniffing. If he's on his break time, it's his break time. You can, like, my guys would be running all over the place, but when I called them, when it's done, right? So that you can, how would you say, you're not so confined to like just having to like walk them and hoping he's not being reactive and checking. Like, there's another side to this where it's like you can do more with him, so it's not so confined. Does that make sense?
Right.
I'm all for dogs chasing squirrels and like, doing their doggy thing and peeing on stuff and sniffing and all that. Even stalking if he sees a squirrel. Like, I'm all for it. Like, I don't care.
Yeah.
But when I call, you're gonna need to come back, right?
I think the only hesitance that we would have is that we've seen him lunge in a reactivity state towards other dogs, and I worry that if he did something like that and decided to run towards a dog that he was interested in, then I wouldn't be able to come. So that's, I guess, like, it wouldn't be letting my guard down to let him like wander on the purple leash, because I want that too. I guess some of the areas are just there you can get kind of snuck up on, and in that sense I'd wonder. But I mean, it's not like he's off leash. We still have a leash on him. So.
Correct. He's on the long line, right?
Yeah.
And this is all, how'd you say, everybody's comfort builds differently. I actually just had a phone call maybe 2 months ago with the client. I worked with this dog like 8 years ago. A super reactive dog. And it was 8 years, no problem. And then he called me out of nowhere. He's like, oh, there was an incident, got in a fight, right? And I was like, well, tell me what happened. He's like, well, I've been doing this for such a long time. He's like, and I'm always a step ahead, right? That was his thing. He's like, I was always a step ahead. And today, he's like, I decided, like, he's been so good, and gave him just a little bit of leniency, right? And then it happened. He thought to himself, I should probably call him, but he thought, let me see how this rides out, right? So I go, yep, that's what happens, right? So when I have a dog like that, I don't get complacent, right? Like, I know I have the control, I know I have the ability to get the dog back and all that stuff. But then it's more so not getting too comfortable, right? So if I had Finn and he was on the long leash, you can keep him on the long leash as long as you want. You can keep him on the long leash forever. I don't care. It's there, for you. But if I'm walking with them, right, and I know he's here and I got his leash and I can just always just check around, and not getting lost for like 15 minutes where I'm just going in one direction and not paying mind to what's going on behind me, because that's how those things happen.
Yeah.
Or if maybe there's like a bunch of trees here and there's going to be a corner on that tree, I would not want him going around that corner before me,
Right.
because I know it's on the other side. So there'd be a recall there. I can put him in a tight
Right.
heel. You walk over, I check it out. More open space. Okay, break again, and then he's off. Right?
Okay.
Completely up to you. I just see here from Finn, he's got good response with like the speed and everything. There's just the quirks that you have to work through that we saw today, which is normal. It's all part of the process. Which is why the more you practice, the more you expose yourself to those incidences, so you can work them through it. So this way, if you ever get completely off leash, you're not worried about that. Okay? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Anything else? Okay. 140.
No, I mean, I think the only, I don't know if we could try and replicate him walking behind another dog if he would try to angle himself away.
Okay. We'll do it?
Yeah, because I feel like it's like repetitiously
Yeah.
trying.
You know what you
it's
could
pretty
do?
extreme.
We'll try right now with Bailey, is that happens, just randomly turn into him. You might have to, right? Because now you're trying to make him aware of your body so that he's not doing this. And that's how I fix it out of that context. When I get dogs that cut over too much, we'll just randomly turn into them so that they get the body
Right.
and they get bumped out the way.
And it's also like in front too, so it's almost hard to do that because he's like.
Yeah. So when you do the crossover, you're not leading with your right, you're leading
I
with
see.
your left.
Okay, so you're bringing
Boom.
it.
Yeah, and it's going to cut right through him. Okay?
Do you want me to bring that at all?
Yeah.
We'll go ahead and go on the path here. Okay? Yeah, go ahead and go. And then she'll come up with Finn here.
See,
He's huffing.
yeah. So do you tap for that?
You can. And you got 3 dogs approaching over there, by the way. Okay? And go ahead. So what we're going to do is once we hit the pole here, Bree will make a U-E, and then we'll just repeat it like within this space.
Okay.
Okay? So is that it right there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I see. Okay.
Yeah.
So what we're gonna do is we're gonna try that again. So come on this side, Bree, because she's having to turn right, so she
Yeah.
needs the space.
Yeah,
We'll do it this side. There we
So
go.
I need to turn with my left leg to the right.
Yeah. So what you're gonna do is you're here. This is Finn, right? And then when you start to see that cutting over, just boom.
Okay.
But it's a sharp,
It's like a
direct
90
cut.
degree left leg turn.
Okay.
Yeah. Seems like when he's in his Finn. Good. Try getting a little closer. Slow down a little bit with Finn.
1.0.
Okay, so that was a good turn. More up.
Okay.
Okay, because you're essentially your leg is becoming the correction.
Okay. Sorry.
Okay, forward. Yep, you're good. Uh-huh.
Also, we'll start to get out in front to like avoid whatever the thing is.
Sure. You can counter him with the turn. So I'll show you here. So better is when you're moving, and it's a little tricky with the little guy. But if I need to come in and correct something, I'm moving in with power.
Okay.
Right, so you see how he's kind of backing off? Right there? See how he stalled there? So, but for you, it's going to be more so from here.
Yeah.
Okay, it's going
So
to be
almost kind of like using my shin.
right. But you're just walking through. Okay, so he's going to get a good, right? But that's what's going to make him back off and go, whoa, I didn't know you were there. Okay, try again. Yeah, we'll just. Good, try again.
Good. Mom. Mom, they knew. Good.
So right there, there was a brief moment, right?
It's kind of hard to aim for that little head.
Yeah, I know, it's because he's small. Okay, do you want to give it a go?
I'll try it.
Give him a good knack.
Yeah, the little guys. It's always hard to train the little guys. There you go. Right, and then you could cut it again. So right there, there was a pop on the head, right? And it's just getting enough intensity that he goes, okay, I shouldn't overcompensate with it, whether, because he said through remoting, he does the same thing, which it happens to, it's the same fix. So like just cut into the dog very sharply and teach them, be close, but don't be that, like don't be in the way. Right. So you had good intensity, but you did right leg.
Yeah.
You're good. Let's try one more. There it is.
I mean, I missed, but he.
You saw the, yeah. So what we're looking to is actually get that good one in.
Yeah.
So I would assume when you're in your neighborhood, it's probably going to be worse. Because that's something like seems like a demo. When you're in the neighborhood, he's more toughier. He barks, I guess, when his dog's barking, things like that. Then I'm just walking and I see it. And don't feel like you have to get it immediately. I'd rather take my time and get one good turn in than try to rush it right off the bat. Okay? Because that can happen too. Whenever I do anything, I always wait for the opportunity to get a good correction in. So like if I have a dog lunging and barking and they're on a prong collar, and then as they're lunging and barking, it might be for 30 seconds, and all of a sudden I see my opportunity and I'll go in and then give a really good correction, right? But then the owner's like, but Jesse, the dog's there for 30 seconds. Like, it doesn't matter. Because that good correction is going to get him out, right? Because you said he does this also if you tap him, he's kind of like...
Yeah, I've had, or I guess when I was jogging and I was trying to, but that's my fault for not just turning around. I was, you would,
Oh yeah, that's different.
Yeah. But I don't know. Sometimes I feel like when we're correcting for some, either a lot of heavy breathing or there are dogs around, he'll tend to do that. But that's a give you the
Yeah, see how he does. Anything where the dog's cutting off, like he's not passing technically, right? He's still on the body, he's just cutting the head.
Right.
You would turn in with that left leg.
Okay.
And I'm so used to doing my knee because of bigger dogs, but it really be, because this is where the correction's going to come from, is your shin.
Right.
Just be careful where the box is placed, because I could potentially see you banging the box there, and then giving yourself a little boost. So I'd probably position it to the other side, so when I correct him, I don't get that. Okay?
That makes sense.
Other questions about that?
Do you think we will see anxiety levels moving down around other dogs? Because right now I feel like we have more of the physical control, but we don't have as much of the mental.
Emotional.
Like, or is there a certain point of we should try to keep up with this for X amount of months, and then like if you have a really anxious dog, are we just sort of torturing him out in the world? We don't. I mean,
No, like, cause for me, like we have a dog right now that just came to our daycare. His name's Doc. He's a pity, and he's an anxious dog. Like if you see him and you look at Finn, you're like, oh yeah, that's an anxious dog, right? The stress and stuff of life, it's like, it's one thing to be an anxious dog, and it's another thing to be anxious because there's a stressor. You know what I mean?
Right.
Is that I don't think you're doing him a disservice. I think part of it is still just, from my understanding, kind of lack of exposure. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But I feel like they're like when I ask, like, you know, when you're walking with them, like, well, we're still going down this route, we're avoiding this because of this. Does that make sense? So if you've been pressing it and you've been pressing it a lot, we're like, yeah, we go to this area where there's always dogs and stuff, and he was still just consistently under stress, then I would say, okay, well then that makes sense that your dog is, how would you say, like it may potentially not going to get better because you've been drilling it for
Yeah.
Gotcha.
I just saw a lady yesterday. I was working with her pre-COVID. She had 5 classes with me, super nervous, anxious dog. She lives in Prospect Heights, and it's very quiet over there. She couldn't walk down any busy streets. She couldn't go to a place like this because the dog wouldn't budge. The dog would not move. It was so nervous and shut down. So I don't see her for like 3 months, 2-3 months, and she shows up yesterday, and she made a comment like, is she ever going to get better or anything like that? I'm like, she's like 80% better. But it took months of her working with her before she got to that. You know what I'm saying? But to her, it kind of seemed like, oh, the dog still hasn't gotten better.
Right.
Like, she's not 100%, no.
Right.
But definitely 70-80% better. Walking more confidently, tail wasn't tucked. Before, like, if you walked next to her, the dog would hide from people. And people were walking around, the dog was just sitting there. And then the next thing was we did a stay, and when she was away from the owner and somebody walked by, the dog did try to return. I'm like, well, that makes sense because she's not next to her mom anymore, so it's more vulnerable. So now we're going to press it by doing this now, right? So his progress, you know, it may be months. I've had people contact me a year later and say, Jesse, it finally happened. The dog made a 180. I'm like, great. I don't know what the process, the timeline's going to be, right? But it does matter how much you expose them. If it's once a week, you're going to have a very long, process. When I work with human aggression cases in the home, I get people that are very social. They have people come over 3 to 4 times a week, so the dog turns around real fast. In other cases, they have people come over once a month. And I'm like, well, very long process. Okay, so that's just something to keep in mind.
Yeah.
Also, it took until this past week to get comfortable with going higher.
Right.
Yeah.
It's just okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. That's another factor. Okay. All those things are variables. In my book, I'm never in a rush to get anything. I can see more potential in Finn in terms of what you're able to do with him, which is why I brought that up. But at the end of the day, it's on your comfort level. I've had people tell me I'm never letting this dog off leash, and then I see him months later, like that's just my dog's off leash now.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be done by the end of the program. And I get some people that like you just mentioned, they hit a plateau in terms of what they get, and that's just what they get. But at least it's better than what it was higher.
Right.
Okay. Anything else? Any other questions?
No, I think the guarding will do with a phone call with you.
The resource guarding. Yeah, that's because so the thing about the resource guarding is that it's context based, and with your friend, because he just nipped, right? Like there was like maybe a scratch or something like that, no puncture, whatever. Yeah, is that in my book, in dogs, he did a healthy correction. Okay, it doesn't translate well to our world, of course, but if he wanted to really do harm, he would have.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's the positive. With resource guarding, now right? Like if we have stuff out, if friends are coming over, we just put those things away.
Right.
Avoidance is always the easiest, right? What we're going to cover in the video is simply a release word. Of like if he has an object and you tell him like out or drop it or whatever, he were to relinquish it and leave it. So now he's not in the guarding state anymore. Okay. Now it is possible to also teach what I call default release. So let's say he's chewing on something behind the couch or next to the couch or something. And somebody starts to walk over. I had a case where the dog would bite people because nobody would know the dog was chewing something. What we did was whenever a person got within 6 to 4 feet of the dog, it would naturally release what it had and walk away. Okay, just do that closure of distance. So instead of going into conflict, dog went to avoidance. Okay, because they're like, well, what if the dog can handle the doorway and they turn around, the dog has to, and they bite the person. That's going to fix that problem. Okay, and it's simple to teach. The only drawback to this is that he's gonna not want stuff in the beginning as much. Okay, so if you give him a bone and you lay a remote over it, then he's like, oh, the bone's not so great anymore. Right? So then we do that, he's gonna digress a bit with his desire for it. We just keep exposing him and eventually he comes back and we balance things out. Okay? It's just part of the process. Okay? Anything else?
I think so.
Keep practicing what you've learned. In terms of his behavior, play with your numbers, okay? And then just go, like you said, now you walk, it's like 1 to 2 corrections, and then you're pretty good for the walk. Now you want to get it to where from the moment you step out that door, it's just good. Okay? Like when I don't even, I say heel, boom, we were off. I don't promote, like, hardly ever. You know, I need to do that. So, you know, the way it works, if I start to walk and at minute 5 I get to 12, and that's the number that makes me go, okay, I'm not going to play games anymore, then I'm going to just start off at 12 at the moment that first step is made.
Yeah.
So he's just thinking from the get-go, it's this. And then that's how things start to get even better.
Yeah,
Okay?
we've just started like getting that weights 10 to 12, and that has been better. So we're the
We are. Because he makes that little arch sound when you hit him with the higher numbers.
Yeah, you know.
sometimes, not all the time.
Yeah.
And so, to touch on that, just because we get the yelp, right? Ideally, I don't want that stuff,
Yeah.
right? And I've had cases where it sucks. It's rare, but it sucks. Where it's like, you know, the dog's going to press boundaries unless we're at this number, but then if we're at this number, the dog's yelping.
Yeah.
But what ends up happening is because in the beginning it's rough because the dog is yelping, but then you end up setting a standard and your corrections become less and less and less, that you end up resolving the issue, and then you're not getting it anymore because you don't have to promote the dog.
Yeah.
You know, I hate it too. When I get a dog like that, I'm like, oh shit, like this is, you know, people are gonna be looking at me,
Yeah.
you know, and all that stuff. But obviously we started low. We were 3 to 4, worked our way up. We were at 5 to 6 for quite a bit, and I was like struggling. Now you're at 8 to 10, and you're like, yeah, and it's better. But we just have this little con. You know, it's part of the process, but you'll get there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and some of it is still like, I think we need to get closer with other dogs on our path, but we also, it's like you have to like pick and choose every single dog based on the type of leash they're on.
Yeah, no, for sure. And actually, before, I think I forgot to tell you last time, I have what I call Lakeview Pack Walks. It's right here off of Inner Lakeshore and Cannon. We got the dog flexing here. And I started it a couple of years ago specifically for my clients that had dogs that were reactive that they were working with. And it's like a judgment-free zone. So you got other dogs. We had a dog that I'd never met before that was super reactive, and I helped her out. So people were welcome to come that I don't even know, and I just, as we're there, give them tips and stuff. But you're more than welcome to come with Finn. It's free. The only thing is it's 8 a.m. on a Saturday. Okay.
I could do it.
You'd be up.
So you're more than welcome to come. We go for a nice hour-long walk and stuff. And then what we used to do before is we would close the gap, you know, so that like if another reactive dog and you were like you would walk side by side, like we did with your friend and stuff, and like practice that. Now with things, you know, things a little bit different, but.
Do you do those every week, or is that
Every Saturday.
Okay.
If you guys are on Instagram, that's where I post it to, Canadian Perspective Inc. And then I announce, like on Thursday or Friday, hey, pack walk on Saturday. It's assumed it's every Saturday, but just to like remind people, I do that. And then the morning of about 7:15, 7:30, I'll look at the weather, and if it looks spotty or you know, I'm exhausted or something, I'll just say, hey, walk is canceled, and this way you don't show up and get there.
It's nice exposure.
Yeah.
When I'm walking them alone, sometimes, and I'm trying to push with like getting close to other dogs, there's other dogs around. Even if he's good on heel, I'm sort of thinking in my head, okay, what is too much? Like, it's hard for me to see his mouth. I can't tell when he's really puckering. I can hear him.
Sure.
I can look at his hackles, but like, I guess moving forward, I'm just wondering, like, and I know maybe it's up to me, like, what behavior are you comfortable with? But when would you generally be correcting for stuff like that? If we are going to be pushing dogs, we're probably going to have to be correcting a little bit.
You're going to be correcting more. That's correct, right? The lip, or that little thing that he does, is like, you could let it go, you know, if you're pressing. And as long as it doesn't get worse, we let it go, and it just doesn't get better. So you're not putting them under too much pressure, considering the remote, right? Otherwise, if I see it stay static, I might think about, unless we're going to close that gap a bit more, because at some point you're going to close it to the point where you're going to get an explosion.
Yeah.
Right? Is if I leave it unchecked going too close, I'm going to assume that's going to happen. So then it's kind of like you're being a little bit more proactive about, okay, it's not getting better, and we want to close from this to this, so we should probably address it here first, because we're most likely going to get it here. Does that make sense? Like the explosion. Because if you remote them, if you're being more strict, you're putting them under more pressure, you're going to induce reactivity. Okay? But that, so he gets the remote, he's already thinking about doing it, you unlock it, then it's okay, I gotta keep you under it, under remote, until you dial back down again, you let it go. So it's possible that since you're pressing things, you might cause it to actually happen, but then you have to use the remote to stop it. So he thinks remote doesn't mean become reactive, remote means don't even think about being reactive. And those instances can happen, okay, where the dog will seemingly look worse. And the dog that I had yesterday, when I took him, he was like all over the place. And I started remoting him, and then he's like flipping and twirling all over the place, and I'm just walking. And eventually he just relaxes, okay? And I can send that to you so you can see it. And then for the rest of the walk, he was pretty much fine, okay? So you're gonna have to go some little ugly parts if you're closing those gaps.
Yeah.
And you could decide, like, you know what? I'm fine with just stepping aside and letting dogs walk at 6 feet. I don't care. I just want you guys to be happy with your dog and being confident in the amount of control that you have. But if you really want to push it, you want to push it to socialization, like all those things are kind of just part of the puzzle.
I mean, today on the lake path, it was that size of sidewalk, and there was a small, like, dachshund, and I could tell it was not on a, what do you call those?
The flex leash?
Yeah, not on a flex leash, and it was, like, pretty not interested in it. We just walked right by, and it was fine. Like, so, I mean, I think we're to a point where we're much better than we were, and he isn't reacting to default. It's like only when that, you know, the dog is staring at him, it's a puller or it's
all
a
this
puppy,
energy.
you know, it's all that.
For sure,
so, like,
yeah, and that's normal. So remember the spectrum of reactivity
Right.
against humans is always first, then calm dogs, excited for puppy type energies. Other reactive dogs or sudden run-ins are always end of spectrum, right? So if you're purposely going out and targeting these things, you get through that spectrum much faster,
Right.
because the run-in is when you do the reactive stuff and you're kind of just confronting it, you're developing the skill sets. So that by the time you get to the point where it's like, no, well, crap, here's a dog, where did that come from? You're already just jumping into gear because you've already done it so many times. Okay? And you'll see me in the video, I just grab the leash and I go, okay, let's go. And I just hop into gear. The dog goes nuts for a couple of seconds, and then he just cracks. Okay? So once you get used to it, it's kind of like, you know, stay at the office.
I think you're very visceral.
So get that Zoom set up. Okay. You always have my technical support. Any questions, videos are always welcome, and things like that. You're more than welcome to join the pack walks. They're planned for every Saturday as long as the weather is good. You're welcome to join one of them, all of them, none of them. I do that so that my clients can, you know, work with other like clients and not be worried about like my dog yelped.
Right.
You know, people judging them and stuff like that. So,
Okay.
okay.
Thank you so much.
You're
Yeah,
welcome.
It's been really
We've
fun.
learned
It's
a
been
lot.
really great.
Yeah, a lot different than
Yeah.
than
Day one.
the food-based training. Me too.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, he's made a change here for sure. I know the neighborhood's a little bit different.
Uh-huh.
You know, once we get to phase 4 and stuff, or whenever things kind of get more back to normal, I'm going to go back to what I was doing before. So if you find you're still struggling in that area, you can always come back and start it over there.
Okay.
Yeah, but we appreciate you guys coming over here. and
Yeah.
working with us here at
Oh, yeah,
Osmar.
for sure. No, it's a nice break for us. We get here pretty quick. It takes 20 minutes. It's not traffic, so.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah, we've learned a lot, so we're happy with where we're at. We just need to work on us being a little bit better.
Yeah.
A little more serious.
Yeah, dogs
Softies.
Yeah.
handle things a bit differently. Did I send you those videos, by the way?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. I thought the puppy one was fascinating. With
Yeah.
the mother dog and the puppy.
Where she just comes in,
Uh-huh.
yeah, and then she's like, "Rah," right,
Yeah.
and then I'll just calm down.
Yeah.
It's
Yep.
such a different perception than what I had of how a mother dog takes care of dogs. You know, I was like,
Yeah.
wow, she means business.
Yeah.
I sent it to my sister who's a CPS teacher. I was like, this is classroom management. You know.
Yeah, for sure. You know, and it's funny because people think that puppies, that's normal, and I'm like, no. I'm like, you can have a calm puppy. All my puppies that I've had are calm. Any puppy that I have is calm. but I'm like the mom.
Right.
I just come and go, nope, you're not doing that, you're not doing that, you're not doing that. So they go, okay,
Yeah.
just chill.
Right.
So-
That's interesting.
Discipline is healthy. Okay? So good job, guys. You've come a long way.
Thanks.
You always have my technical support, moral support if you ever need it.
Great.
Thanks.
Okay? And
Appreciate
if you
it.
have any questions, just let me know.
Okay.
Thanks
Thank
so
you
much.
so much.
Thank
Thanks,
you guys
guys.
too.
You're welcome.
Thanks for your
See you,
help.
Finn.
Yeah.
Yeah, buddy.